Daniel 6, and I'm just going to read the last little bit from verse 17, and I'm going to read from 17 to the end. A stone was brought and placed over the mouth of the den, and the king sealed it with his own signet ring and with the rings of his nobles, so that Daniel's situation might not be changed. Then the king returned to his palace and spent the night without eating and without any entertainment being brought to him, and he could not sleep. At the first light of dawn, the king got up and hurried to the lion's den. When he came near the den, he called to Daniel in an anguished voice, "Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you serve continually, been able to rescue you from the lions?" Daniel answered, "May the king live forever! My God sent his angel, and he shut the mouths of the lions. They have not hurt me, because I was found innocent in his sight, nor have I ever done any wrong before you, your majesty." The king was overjoyed, and gave orders to lift Daniel out of the den. And when Daniel was lifted from the den, no wound was found on him, because he had trusted in his God. At the king's command, the men who had falsely accused Daniel were brought in and thrown into the lion's den, along with their wives and children. And before they reached the floor of the den, the lions overpowered them and crushed all their bones. Then King Darius wrote to all the nations and peoples of every language in all the earth, "May you prosper greatly. I issue a decree that in every part of my kingdom people must fear and reverence the God of Daniel. For he is the living God, and he endures forever. His kingdom will not be destroyed. His dominion will never end." Happening. He rescues and he saves. He performs signs and wonders in the heavens and in the earth. Thank you. He has rescued Daniel from the power of the lions. So Daniel prospered during the reign of Darius and the reign of Cyrus the Persian. Okay, let's pray. Father, we thank you for this fantastic story of the salvation of Daniel from the lion's den. Just help us to learn what we can learn from it in order to make our lives more in tune with yours, Lord. Amen. Amen. Right then, so I talked a bit about the cliffhanger, so what happens next? So remember, Darius wanted Daniel to be saved. And poor old Darius, he didn't eat, he got up at the first light, and he has expectations that Daniel's God will save him. And he is overjoyed. Darius praises God. It's a complete turnaround from wanting everybody to worship him, and now he insists that everybody worship the true God. So what does Darius say about God? In the last part of the section was the decree, and he makes statements about God, the living God. He acknowledges him as the true God. He is a God of power who can do the miraculous. And we know this is all true. The irony here is that Darius is insisting that everybody worships the same God. There is no freedom of religion. And for our society, this is pretty strange, because we expect people to have freedom of religion. And as Christians, we appreciate he's on the right lines here, because he is now recognising the true God. But we're not comfortable because we cannot insist on people's religion. We would want to see a complete change of heart. And the story does not tell us whether Darius has a change of heart. We do not know. He may have done, or he may just have been so impressed by this miraculous escape of Daniel that he just thinks, wow, and wants everyone to now worship a different God. So there's a thought for you to think about. And what does Daniel do? At the end of this onerous experience, and remember, last week I did tell you he was 81 when he went into the lion's den, and he'd been serving in Babylon for more than 60 years. serving as a high civil servant in someone else's kingdom. But what does he do after he escapes? And you know, those satraps were the ones that had trapped him and flattered the king and got him into trouble. And he still has to work with those satraps if he goes back to his job. Well, he could have said, blow you lot, I'm off to get my early redundancy. I've finished here and I'll go and get a nice easy job, you know, something like lion taming, you know, something like that. But no, that is not the choice that Daniel makes. He carries on as before. He serves Darius, and he serves the state that he has been transported to. And he continues to be a man of integrity. Remember last week we found out the satraps could find no fault in him. He was very efficient. There was no negligence. He was good at his job. So he continues to serve. Now I want you to have a look at this passage again, the first part of the passage. I'll just read this bit. At the first light of dawn, the king got up and hurried to the lion's den. Right. When he came near the den, he called to Daniel in an anguished voice. Daniel, has your God been able to rescue you? Right, there's a few little parallels that I've spotted between this story and a very, very famous story in the New Testament. Anyone want to help me out here, or are you? Right, he's sort of locked overnight in a big stone thing. It's the resurrection. Yes, thank you, Anna. Very good. So, remember, there's quite a lot of similarities. There's the emphasis on a sealed tomb. Remember, Jesus was put into a sealed tomb because of the suspicions of the Jews. He was sealed in. There was a seal to stop him, well, escaping, which doesn't make sense, or for someone to come and steal the body. It was an early morning visit, and you've got that sense of, what are we going to find? Remember in the resurrection story, it's the women come to see the body of Jesus. What will they find? And here we've got Darius up at first light, off to see, is Daniel still alive? And he fully expects him to be alive. And there's a miracle, isn't there? There's a miracle of life where we expect to see death. Right, and if you want the reference for that, look at Matthew 27, but I'm not going to dwell on that. So this part of the story presages the resurrection. Jesus overcomes death. By his death and his resurrection, Jesus saves us from sin and death. And this is a reality, an actual fact, on which we can base our whole lives. And now I'm going to look at from and for. Daniel was saved from certain death from the attack of the lions. He was saved for the civil service role he had undertaken to serve the earthly kingdom which had become his home. He would continue to serve with integrity, with honesty, with justice. And Daniel was Darius's representative in the kingdom of the Medes and the Persians. Now look at again at another parallel here. From and for. We are saved. We are saved from spiritual death caused by sin. Sin separates us from God. And so, because we are saved, we are destined, we are destined to live eternally with God in heaven, because we are saved. We are saved for service in the eternal kingdom that we are now part of, through the death and resurrection of Jesus. And our job is to bring kingdom values to this fallen world, to bring integrity, honesty, justice, We are God's representatives on earth. We are God's ambassadors. I'm going to give you a minute to talk to the person next to you and try and think of a Bible verse that tells us that we are different from other people and that we are God's ambassadors in this world. Okay, I'll give you a minute and then I'll ask for some ideas. I've just got a couple myself. Okay, that's your minute up. Time up. So if you stop talking, great. And any volunteers, any verses from the Bible that says that we are different from everybody else and we have a job to do as God's ambassadors? Anybody at all? I'll start with Keith because he'll have one.
Well, it actually says in we are Christ's ambassadors. So I'm trying to remember exactly what it is.
We are Christ's ambassadors, and you'll maybe find the reference? Maybe. Right, okay. Fiona?
Yes, well, we had Joe said we're in the world, we're not of the world.
That's good. That's a good one.
And
Yes.
the fact that we're to be his witnesses, he said.
Yes. We are in the world, but we are not of the world, and we are to be his witnesses. Have you got one, Maggie?
No, we couldn't get any of
Yes, that's very good. The Great Commission. Go and make disciples of all nations. Anybody else want to chip in?
I can read the verse out.
Yeah, Maddie?
there's several forerunners of Jesus, and Daniel was one of them.
Forerunners, yes, gives us an example.
Job.
Yes, and yes, I am going to refer to Hebrews 11 in a minute. So you're getting ahead of, yeah, that's good. And back to Keith.
Okay, so it's 2 Corinthians 5, starting at verse 16. From now on we regard no one from a worldly point of view, though we once regarded Christ in this way, we do so no longer. Therefore, as anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old is gone, the new has come. All this from God, who reconciled us to himself through Christ, and gave us a ministry of reconciliation. That God was reconciling the world to himself in Christ, and not counting men's sins against them. And he committed to us the message of reconciliation. We are therefore Christ's ambassadors, as though God was making his appeal through us.
That's fantastic. I won't repeat all of that. These are the little bits I've got, which all, they all hang together. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your minds. So that's how we should be different from other people. For you are a royal priesthood, and you are the light of the world. There's a few bits, but there's loads, isn't there? That would make a good Bible study, all the bits about how we are different from our society and how we should be God's representatives on earth. Now, last week I touched on this big question: why do bad things happen to good people? And looking at the story of Daniel, we had quite a lot that we thought about as well last week and this week. We've looked at the jealousy of the satraps. They were out to trap him, and they tricked the king using his pride, the pride of Darius, that he was susceptible to the flattery. But another reason I think we can see today why bad things happen to good people is so that the power of God can be revealed. They meant it for harm, yeah? But God meant it for good. Okay, so we've got a recognition of the way God works is not the same as what we would sometimes think is the best way to go. So the power of God is sometimes revealed after a period of suffering or crisis. Now, bad things happen to people all the time, and sometimes we don't understand when someone we love is terminally ill, or when a baby is born that cannot possibly live. In autumn 2014, Nick and I found out that our daughter-in-law had a life-threatening cancer. And it was the same week that Clive and Fiona found out, very similar time, they found out their daughter was carrying a baby that would not live beyond infanthood. And yes, we all prayed. We prayed hard. And yes, we believed that God could do miracles. But in these particular situations, the miracle of life did not happen. In 2016, Matt and Verity had a very traumatic year. There was a miscarriage, there was the discovery of cancer. And Father God was with them and their family in all their pain. Eventually, the time passed. Eventually there was another baby, and there was a remission from cancer. So did God love Verity and Matt more than he loved the butchers or the butlers? No. Did they have more faith? No. We just had different results. And I want to refer you to Hebrews 11 now. And when you've got time, there's loads and loads and loads to look at in Hebrews 11. And I think there's probably about 20 sermons there, Mike? About 20, 25 sermons in there. It's about all the people of faith. I'll just read you the very, very beginning. So it's Hebrews 11. And it's about what's happened in the Old Testament, right up to the death and resurrection of Jesus. It starts off, famous bit, now faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. And all the way through the book of Hebrews, chapter 11, it goes through all the different people, from Abel to Enoch, to Abraham, to Moses, all different people. By faith, they believed. And there's a nice little bit I spotted towards the end. Verse 32. And what more shall I say? I do not have time to tell about Gideon, Barak, Samson and Jephthah, about David and Samuel and the prophets, who through faith conquered kingdoms, administered justice, and gained what was promised, who shut the mouths of lions, quenched the fury of the flames, and escaped the edge of the sword, whose weakness was turned to strength, and who became powerful in battle and routed foreign armies. And I liked that little bit, just a little hint that we're also thinking about Daniel, about the lions, and we're thinking about Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego and the fiery furnace. We're thinking of those people who stood firm for their faith when they were tried, when they were put under pressure. But we are not promised that we will be saved from illness. We are not promised that we'll be saved from earthly death and from all the difficulties of life. The promise we have received is that he will be with us in the time that we suffer. And so God is not only in the fiery furnace, he is not only in the lion's den. He was with his Daniel and his colleagues every single day as they lived and they worked in an alien land. And he is with us every day as we live and work in this alien land, which is earth. There's a little song that I think Harriet sang for us a little while back, and it was ringing through my head as I was writing the sermon, and I won't sing it. And it's, the earth is not my home, I'm only passing through. So it's an ancient spiritual, and that's something to hold on to. When we think we are under trials and troubles in this world, remember this world is not our home. We are citizens of an eternal kingdom. I'm just going to finish now. I'm going to wave this book around again. This book I found really useful, and it's covered Daniel's 1 to 6 in quite a lot of detail. I've picked up some of the ideas from here, and Nick picked up a few ideas when he preached about the writing on the wall. And the subtitle, well, the first title is Tested by Fire, and the subtitle is Solid Faith in Today's World. And sometimes we need to hold on to that. We need to hold on to the faith that we have a heavenly God who loves us, who cares for us, who is always with us, and he is a good God. So if you want to borrow it, come and catch me afterwards. Okay? Finish by a prayer. Father, help us to ponder on the things I've brought to light. Lord, I haven't really touched on everything you could be saying through this chapter. But Lord, just help us to think about some of those key themes of salvation and of suffering. Thank you, Lord. Amen.